Today we are going to discuss concept deficient demand. This is similar to excess demand, but the only difference is that there was excess of demand over supply at full employment level. Here there will be deficiency of aggregate demand on aggregate supply at full employment level, which means when the entire resources are used and output is produced, which could be the maximum output, you'll find that the aggregate demand would be less than the maximum output. Okay, so what is deficient demand? It is a situation when at full employment level of output, aggregate demand is less than aggregate supply. Okay, right? So we're going to show this with the help of an example, with the help of a diagram. On x-axis you have national income, on y-axis you have aggregate demand. "45-degree line. This shows all possible equilibriums between national income and aggregate demand. Okay. Let's just suppose that the full employment aggregate supply, which means when the entire resources are used, the maximum output which can be produced is OM, and to have an equilibrium at that level of output we need to have an aggregate demand AD. So this is the aggregate demand required for full employment equilibrium. Okay, right? But the economy is not actually operating at this level, but at a lesser level. Let's just imagine that the aggregate demand, the actual aggregate demand, is AD1. Okay, this BE is the deflationary gap. BE is the deflationary gap. Okay, so what is the deflationary gap? The deficit of aggregate demand over aggregate supply at full employment level of national income is called deflationary gap. Okay, now if you see this diagram very carefully, you find that the situation of deficient demand is depicted in the diagram. Hence, E on 45-degree line represents full employment equilibrium. Why is it full employment equilibrium point? Because it's the ideal situation when AD represented by EM is equal to full employment level of output, that is aggregate supply or national income, represented by OM. Okay, so EM is equal to OM, right? But the actual AD, aggregate demand, is for a level of output BM only, which is lower than the full employment level of output EM or OM by an amount of BE. So BE can be termed as the deflationary gap. Okay. Now what are the reasons for the deficient demand? The causes of deficient demand is the insufficiency of the components of aggregate demand. What are the components of aggregate demand? Consumption expenditure. So less or decrease in consumption expenditure, decrease in investment expenditure, decrease in government expenditure, decrease in net exports, or decrease in money supply. Okay. Now if you see the impact of deficient demand maybe if you see it different wise, like you have impact on employment. As the level of employment is less or fall in the economy, the level of employment will also fall. Level of investment is falling, so level of employment will fall. Impact of output on output. As the level of investment and employment falls in the economy, output also tends to fall. Impact on prices. If there is excess supply, that is deficient demand, the prices tend to fall, leading to deflation. Okay. So again we are going to do what the impact is of deficient demand. Impact on employment. As the level of investment falls in the economy, the level of employment will also fall. Impact on output. As the level of investment and employment falls in the economy, output also tends to fall. Impact on price. As there is excess supply or deficiency in demand, prices tend to fall, leading to deflation. Okay. Measures to correct deficient demand. Now I told you that these measures can be broadly classified into fiscal measures and monetary measures. Okay. Now fiscal measures are the measures of impacting the economy by impacting the expenditure and revenue of government, and these are the measures taken by the central bank, monetary measures. Okay. So we're going to do one by one. We're going to do fiscal measures. It is the expenditure and revenue policy of the government to accomplish the desired objective. The first fiscal measure is the revenue policy. During deficient demand, the government should reduce the rates of all taxes. This will increase the purchasing power of people, and hence the effective demand in the economy will increase. Okay. So revenue policy, you'll find tax is the main component. So the government, what is the main aim in deficient demand? To increase the aggregate demand, because the aggregate demand is less than the aggregate supply. So at that point of time, your main aim is to boost up the aggregate demand. However, so that can be done by increasing the demand for goods and services, and that can be done by increasing the money supply in the hands of people. So what will happen in deficient demand? The government would like to increase the money supply and thereby increase the AD. So what happens here is, in the revenue policy, when the taxes are reduced, the purchasing capacity or the purchasing power of people will increase, because the money in their hand increases. Okay, because of which they will start to buy goods and services. They will have more purchasing power, because of which the aggregate demand will increase. So revenue policy may the government would like to reduce all the taxes. The second component is the expenditure policy. In situation of deficient demand, the government increases the expenditure on public works, thereby increases the money income of people. Thus, the demand for goods and services will increase. So, it will increase the expenditure, because that much employment generation happens and the income at the hands of people increases, because of which the demand increases. Okay. Third, public borrowings. Okay. During times of deficient demand, the government should redeem, that means give back, all the public borrowing. So the public borrowing taken by the government should be redeemed back. Now when it gets redeemed, the amount, the value which was once given comes back in the hands of people, and thereby increasing the aggregate demand. So the public borrowing will be reduced. We are seeing from the point of view of the government. Okay. Fourth, deficit financing or printing of new notes. During times of deficient demand, deficit financing should be increased. Printing of new notes should be done so that the money supply increases. So in times of deficient demand, deficit financing should be encouraged. So we're going to do it again. During deficient demand, revenue policy. During deficient demand, the government should reduce the rates of all taxes. This will increasing the purchasing power of the people, and hence the effective demand in the economy will increase. Expenditure policy. In situation of deficient demand, the government should increase the expenditure on public works, thereby increasing the money income of people. Thus, the demand for goods and services will increase. Public borrowing. In times of deficient demand, the government should redeem means reduce all large-scale public borrowings, so that the excess money with the public increases, and hence the demand for goods and services increases. Deficit financing. In times of deficient demand, deficit financing should be encouraged to increase the money supply in the economy. This will increase the effective demand. Okay. Now we are going to do monetary policy. Now monetary policy is the policy undertaken by the central bank. Okay. It refers to the policy of credit control by the central bank. Now monetary policy, if you remember, the excess demand can be divided into two: quantitative measures and qualitative measures. Quantitative measures. The first quantitative measure is the bank rate. This is the rate at which the central bank provides long-term loans to commercial banks. What is it? It is the rate at which the central bank provides long-term loans to commercial banks. So during deflation or deficient demand, what will happen? The central bank reduces the bank rate, which encourages commercial banks to reduce the interest rate, and forces commercial banks to reduce the interest rate. This makes credit cheaper, which leads to increase in demand for loans, and thereby the effective demand will increase. We'll do it again. In situation of deficient demand, central bank reduces the bank rate, which encourages commercial banks to borrow from central bank. Reduction in bank rate forces commercial banks to reduce the interest rates. This makes credit cheaper, leading to increase in demand for loans, thereby increasing the effective demand. Okay. The second is repo rate. Now the repo rate is the rate at which the central bank provides short-term loans to the commercial banks. Okay. So the same mechanism happens. Central bank reduces the repo rate. This encourages commercial banks to borrow from central banks, and then this forces the commercial banks to reduce their interest rate. Now when the interest rates fall, credit becomes cheaper, and when credits become cheaper, effective demand will increase. So again, repo rate is the rate at which central bank provides short-term loans to commercial banks. In situation of deficient demand, central bank reduces the repo rate, which encourages commercial banks to borrow from central bank. This increase in repo rate forces commercial banks to reduce their interest rates also. This makes credit cheaper, leading to increase in demand for loans, thereby increasing the effective demand. Okay. Third, reverse repo rate. It is the rate of interest at which the commercial banks keep their deposits with the central bank. Okay. In times of deficient, again I'll tell you, like we keep our deposits, we get an interest. Similarly, commercial banks keep their deposits in central bank. The rate which the commercial banks get from the central bank is called reverse repo rate. Okay, so it is the rate of interest at which the commercial banks keep their deposits with the central bank. In times of deficient demand, central bank reduces the reverse repo rate so that the commercial banks are discouraged to keep their deposits in central bank. What they do is they would prefer to give their deposits as loan. So the loans expand. As the loans expand and there is more loan creation by commercial banks, this expands the effective demand. Okay. Fourth is cash reserve ratio. Cash reserve ratio. It refers to the minimum percentage of total deposits that commercial banks have to keep as reserve in central bank. Okay. During deflation or deficient demand, central bank reduces the cash reserve ratio, which expands the credit creation capacity of commercial banks, which leads to increase in effective demand. Okay, again, what is cash reserve ratio? It is the minimum percentage of total deposits that commercial banks have to keep as reserve in central bank. During deflation or deficient demand, the central bank reduces the cash reserve ratio, which expands the credit creation capacity of the commercial banks, which leads to increase in effective demand. Okay, fifth is statutory liquidity ratio. Statutory liquidity ratio. It refers to the minimum percentage of total deposits that have to be kept as reserve by the commercial banks themselves. So cash reserve ratio, which the minimum percentage of reserve that has to be kept by by commercial banks in central bank, and this is what they have to keep with themselves. Commercial banks have to keep with themselves. So it refers to the minimum percentage of total deposits that have to be kept as reserve by commercial banks themselves. During deficient demand, central bank reduces the statutory liquidity ratio, which expands the credit creation capacity of commercial banks, which leads to increase in effective demand. Okay. Sixth is open market operations. Open market operations. Okay. Now this is simply what? Buying and selling of government securities by or to commercial banks or public in the open market. This is done by central bank. So it's buying and selling of government securities by central bank to commercial banks or public in the open market. Okay. During deficient demand, central bank buys government securities in the open market. This increases the credit creation capacity of commercial banks, which leads to increase in effective demand, because the money goes to the commercial banks or public, thereby increasing either the credit, if it goes to the commercial banks, credit creation capacity of the commercial banks, or the money supply with the public. So when it buys, money flows from central bank to commercial banks or public. Okay, so thereby increasing the credit creation capacity by commercial bank or money supply with the public. Okay, right? Now we are going to do qualitative measures. They are direct orders by central bank to commercial banks. The first is moral suasion. These are written or oral orders by central bank to commercial banks. So during deflation, central bank directs commercial banks to expand credit, and hence the effective demand increases. Okay. The second is margin requirement. What is margin requirement? It is the difference between the amount of loan and market value of securities. Basically ulta. It is the difference between the market value of securities offered against loan and the actual amount of loan. During deficient demand, the central bank directs commercial banks to reduce the margin requirement. Now what happens here? This makes credit cheaper, and as credits become cheaper, what will happen? there will be more demand for loan. As there will be more demand for loan, the effective demand will increase, because that loan would ultimately be used for buying goods and services. So the aggregate demand increases. Okay. So we're going to sum it up together. Monetary policy divided into two: quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative measures during deflation: bank rate reduce, repo rate reduce, reverse repo rate reduce, cash reserve ratio reduce, statutory liquidity ratio reduce, market operation buying. Moral suasion: direct commercial banks to increase credit. Margin requirement reduce. Okay. This ends the chapter and also the entire course of macroeconomics. Okay. So I hope you are following all the videos, and if you haven't done yet, please take time and see all the videos in order so that you understand the entire macroeconomics. And if you have any problem, please do write on the WhatsApp group so that we can have a Zoom meeting to clear the doubts. Okay. Good day, children.